Hello chess friends and welcome to Jozarov's chess channel and welcome to my best chess games of all time series. So in this series we follow the best of the best chess games that have been ever played in chess history, and today I wanted to show you a great attacking game played by the legendary magician from Riga, Mikhail Tal. It was a game played against Vladimir Eduardovich Akopian. So the game is maybe not the best tactical game or not the most beautiful game that Mikhail Tal has played in his life, but I think it was a very important historical moment because Mikhail Tal played his last tournament, and the game was played in this Barcelona 1992. Although Mikhail Tal didn't play his best tournament, he had only 5.5 points out of the possible 9. He was around 8th or 9th placed, but he played really some great chess, and there was really a funny thing in the last official game against Sokolov. Mikhail Tal offered Sokolov a draw by asking him the question, "Are you feeling ambitious?" And Sokolov recognized what Mikhail Tal was trying to say, and then both of the players agreed to a draw in 13 moves because Mikhail Tal wasn't feeling very good, and that tournament he had really this health problems through the whole tournament, and that's why he wanted to end many of these games in draws. On the other hand, he asked the same question to Vladimir Akopian. He asked him also, "Are you feeling ambitious?" And Akopian didn't know what to say. He simply continued to play the game, so he didn't accept this draw that Mikhail Tal was asking for. Then after a couple of moves, it was Vladimir Akopian that was searching for a draw, but Mikhail Tal refused and really crushed then Akopian in this great tactical battle that I wanted to show you today. So let's see the game. As said, this was the last tournament of Mikhail Tal, so he was already his sickness has made really some progress, so that's why he didn't play maybe his best of the chess, but again he played this tactical traps which he always liked to play. So here e5 c5 e4 c5, knight on f3, knight on c6, and now we have bishop on b5, this Nejmedinov attack, d6 castling, and now bishop to d7, and now rook on e1. Still common theory. Here knight to f6 was played, and now c3, preparing this d4 pawn central control. This is a very important idea, a very nice strategy to occupy the center with the huge activity of this bishop. Then this bishop, it has also a nice activity, and then we can maybe follow with knight on c3, and then we have all of our pieces on the best squares. So in the game, a6 was played by Akopian, bishop to a4, and there is one very important idea about this a6, because now Akopian can play the pawn to c4, because now we can play here b5 and really close the queen side. But Mikhail Tal played d4 anyway. He built this central control anyway, because now there is maybe a threat to create a pawn breakthrough with the move e5, and with the king in the center, black still has some troubles to make something going on here. So he has to develop his dark square bishop, he has to castle and secure his king, so still at least 3 more moves to make in order to bring this king to security. So in the game, that's why c takes d3 was played, bishop g5, attacking the knight, with also some pinning ideas after potential e6, and also some positional threats to maybe after bishop takes f6, after g takes f6, to create sort of double pawns and weakened pawn structures in front of black's king. So that's why it was a great move. And you see how Tal plays. He didn't immediately take this pawn on d3, because this pawn can be taken in any particular moment of the game, so it's not so important. It was more important to create this dangerous attack. In the game, e6 was played. Now queen to d3, now bishop on e7, and now bishop takes f6. We have g takes f6. Of course, if you take with the bishop, then your d6 is hanging, so that's why here g takes f6 had to be played. And now bishop on c6, also very important. After bishop to c6, now we have a very interesting position, because now Mikhail Tal gave up the bishop pair in order to have this very nice control, because he played now c4, and now after castling, knight to c3, and now we have a perfect coordination of this knight. The knights are controlling the center very good, and also these pawns are building sort of a Maroczy bind setup, restricting some potential pawn breakthroughs here in the center. center, because the bishops love, of course, open positions. That's why here with this move c4, Tal is not allowing this position to get open. So in the game, king on h8 was played by Akopian, and now rook on d1. Now the pieces are really on the best squares. Now we have also very powerful battery against this pawn on d6, but there is a problem. You cannot attack this pawn with another minor piece, so it means you cannot attack it with the knight, because this e6 pawn is covering this f5 square, and also this a6 is covering the b5. So that's the only way we can attack this pawn with the knight. Rook to g8 was played, and now queen on e3. We have queen to f8, and now knight to d4, attacking the bishop. One of the ideas, one of the strategical ideas while playing against the bishop pair, is to get rid of one of these bishops, because the bishops are perfectly fine. They're really great combined together. So that's why knight to d4 was played, and now rook to c8. If you take, then I think black can build really a nice pawn centric control. Now we have maybe possibilities to prepare some d5 pawn breakthroughs, but in the game Tal played a calm move. Well, it's not a calm move, but it's not an exchanging of trading of pieces. Here we have the move f4, because the idea now behind this move f4 is to play f5. Then maybe if black recaptures, then to secure a weak square here on d5. So in the game, bishop to d7 was played, and now b3, of course, first protecting our c4 weakness. And in the game, bishop on d8 was played. You cannot play now this move f5, because okay, after e5 it would be a good position. Knight to f3 can be played, and now knight to d5 would be our main strategical outpost here. But the problem is that black doesn't have to take here. Bishop to b6 is the main possibility, creating very annoying pins here on the queen and the king. So that's why here black has, I think, a favorable game. So in the game, knight to f3 was played by Tal, not allowing the spinning idea, not allowing this bishop come to b6. Here in the game, b5 was played, and now queen to a7. Very tricky move here by Mikhail Tal. He's attacking the bishop and also the pawn on a6. In the game, that's why bishop on c7 was played, covering the bishop indirectly, sort of. But now queen takes the pawn on a6, and now we have b takes c4. Now b4, simply passing through, and it seems now that Tal has a good position, but the evaluation is simply better here for black, because there is one problem. The queen is a little bit trapped here on the square a6. It's not so well placed, and still you have to make many moves in order to make something happen. Although you have the two pass pawns here, but it's not so easy to push them. The queen, as I said, has to be secured first. And here after move b4, queen to g7 was played. We have an immediate checkmate threat on g2, so that's why g3 had to be played. And you see now the problems of Mikhail Tal. We have now, after potential bishop on c6, also some light square problems. So if the position gets open for this bishop, this could be really deadly for white. So in the game, d5 was played, and here we have e takes d5 by Tal, and now bishop takes on f4. Very nice move, because of course you cannot take. Here king to f2 had to be played, and now f5. And this is now Akopian's main mistake, I think, in the game. You see the problems about this move f5, because the problem is that the queen can come here on the square f6. There is really a tactical problem now, because Mikhail Tal was one of the best tacticians, and he could have calculated all of that. Now after f5, here we can simply take, like Mikhail Tal did, the bishop on f4. But in this particular moment, I think the better way would have been to take e takes d5. So here, after potential knight takes on d5, we have now bishop to g3, and if you take, then we can take, of course. King to e3 can be played, but now rook comes to e1 and e8 and attacks the king. So now there are no good squares, you have to escape. But now even bishop bishop to e6 is a possibility. Now we're attacking both of these knights in the game. If you try rook to e3, then we can even attack the queen going behind, attacking this pawn. So many great attacking possibilities here for Akopian. But in the game he made this huge blunder, f5. It's not losing here for black. The evaluation here is equal for both sides, but there is a problem now because Mikhail Tal can simply take the bishop, as I said, and now although Akopian can take also this knight on c3, we have now the possibility to place the queen on a very active square on d6. So the queen comes now finally into the game, and after giving up the bishop here on f4, black has now some serious talks for problems. And again, I'm pointing out the evaluation here is equal, but from this human's point of view and from the human's perspective, I think white has an advantage because the queen is always a little bit stuck to the defense of the dark squares, and if you cover the dark squares with your rook, then you have lost your rook connection, which Mikhail Tal still has in the game. So in the game, bishop to a4 was played, attacking the rook on d1, rook to d4, and now we have rook to g7. Maybe rook to g6 would have been a better idea. Then we can go finally with our king here on to g8, and now maybe we have a very nice protection here because this rook is supported by both of the pawns, so you don't need your king to protect the rook on g6. But in the game, as said, rook to g7 was played. We have now d takes e6, and now bishop to c6, attacking the knight. But there is again a problem here. Mikhail Tal can close again the dark squares with the move knight to g5, and here Akopian should have probably played something like f takes e6, because at least somehow, but still there are really some great tactical threats. After queen to e5, you have to cover your pawn with the rook on e8, and now rook on d8 would be the main tactical idea. If you take the queen, then we can take, of course, bishop takes, and now rook takes the queen on e5, and now after something like rook on a7, we have rook to a5, closing the a file, very important. And now we can continue the game with this distant pass pawn at least, and this is very bad position here for black, because in the next move we can also take this pawn. Our king is more towards the center than black king, so from this endgame's perspective this is completely winning for white. So but there is also a funny thing after f takes here in this particular move. If you try king on g8 to maybe hang on to somehow and get out of this potential pin here, there is this line queen to e6, and it leads now into forced checkmate sequence, because you have to go with your king here. But now knight to f7 is the main tactical possibility. If you take, then again we can take this rook. This is the problem, you have to move the king, and now rook to g1, king to f6 is sort of a must move, rook to d6 attacking, and now we have queen to d8 checkmate. So as said, the dark spot problems that black had here in the position are too much to handle. After knight to g5, Akopian found probably maybe a tactical idea, but here after rook takes g5, we have queen to e5. Again, this tactical possibility. You see how the stars for problems are too much to handle. Now after rook to g8, g7, protecting the king, we have this tactics: rook to d8, discover the attack on the king, and we can take the queen. So here rook takes, queen takes c3, and now we have f6, but not a problem. Here we have a pass pawn, which is also very good here. So that's why rook to a8 had to be played. But now queen to f6, we have bishop on e4. Basically this game is over because we have a forced checkmate. In the game, rook to g1 was played, king to a2, but now king on e1, and this is game over. You cannot protect anymore this potential checkmate. You can just prolong a little bit the game with some checks, but it's a huge win here, I think, for Mikhail Tal. Great game by both sides. I think Akopian played also a very nice opening with this against this Nejmedinov attack, but missed some tactical possibilities, and that's why one of the expressions that Mikhail Tal always said was, of course, there are correct sacrifices, there are mine. So he didn't see, he really sometimes didn't play the best tactics. He made some mistakes, but in this tactical battle, in this tactical forest, you have to see really this best moves. It's really hard because you see how complex this position was, and Mikhail Tal, the magician of Riga, of course, when it comes to winning position, he always finds the move. That's the difference probably between Mikhail Tal and Akopian, because when you have the winning position, Akopian couldn't see the tactical sequence that leads into winning game. Here, when Mikhail Tal has the same position, he finds really the best moves and crushes their opponents very, very easily. So okay, I hope you enjoyed this game. We'll follow some more chess games from this best chess games of all time series. As I said, we'll continue also with our Bobby Fischer series from this tournament in 1963 from this US Chess Championship, in which he created the perfect score, 11 out of 11. You can check out these videos. Here are the links, and you can also watch my commented chess games, in which I show you some games from some current tournaments, and you can also watch my best chess games played by computers with some Lila C0, Alpha Zero, and many more. See you soon with some more videos, and chess is the best, of course.